was 2004. I was only 6 years old. The life of a first grader was good, but that good life of mine was soon going to change. My father, who's in the military, just received news that he was going to be stationed in Honduras for 6 months. Honduras is a small country that is located south of North America, which is called Central America, which is about 2,000 miles away from where I was living at the time, Cottage Grove, Wisconsin. It was scary to have my dad that far away from me in a place that I never even heard of. 6 months is not very long time for an adult, but to my 6-year-old mind, it seemed like it would be an eternity. Just before he was going to be shipped out, my family of 4 decided to go on a mini vacation to the Wisconsin Dells and go to a water park called the Great Wolf Lodge. This was amazing news for me and my older brother Jared, who was about 11 at the time. Going to water parks was one of my favorite places to go when I was a kid. Anyone that has gone to a water park knows that you get a brightly colored plastic armband, so the employees know you're staying there. At the time, I didn't think anything of that green bracelet that was wrapped around my arm, but that bracelet was never going to be cut off my wrist until my dad was home again, 6 months later. Not too much later, it was time for my dad to leave. My brother and I were staying at my grandparents' house as my mom drove to the airport. It was late at night and I was heartbroken. My dad was going to a mysterious place that I never even heard of. It was frightening for me. After my dad had gone to Honduras, it felt strange to only have one parent around the house. The strange feeling soon disappeared and the whole situation became so-called normal. My dad would call as much as he could and talk to each of us, but it was odd to not see him on a daily basis. Often I would ask my dad if he remembered going to the water park with me before he left. I would also tell him I was still wearing an armband even though it was getting pretty worn. Months after my dad left, I was in class talking with some of my friends. One of them asked me, "Why are you still wearing that bracelet?" Her finger was pointing down towards the bright green plastic band hanging around my arm. The once dark black letters that covered the green were now worn and scratched off so much that you could barely read what they once said. I wasn't sure what to say in reply because it just hit me that I had worn it for almost 5 months. Why would I do that? Why didn't I cut it off after we left the water park? All I said in return was, "I'm not really sure." My friend just brushed it off and never said anything about it again. That short conversation got me thinking and made me realize that wearing that plastic bracelet always reminded me of going to the water park and having fun with my whole family, including my dad. It was a connection to my dad, who had been gone for so long. It was the weekend and we were going to get ready for church soon. Before I did get ready myself, I decided to go upstairs and wake my mom. I walked up the gray carpeted stairs and peered into my parents' bedroom, and there, laying on the bed, just a few feet away from me, was my dad. He was home. I stood there amazed, just amazed. It was a complete surprise. I didn't know he came home that night. I slept through it all. I still couldn't believe my eyes. I slowly backed myself out of the room and walked down the stairs, through the hall, and into the kitchen. I pulled open one of the drawers that contained the scissors and cut off that green bracelet that had been attached to my wrist for the last 6 months. I no longer needed that bright green armband to remind me of my dad. He was home. As the whole household was beginning to wake up, we all reunited. I was so happy to have my dad back. The whole family went to church, and I clearly remember to this day sitting on my dad's lap and still being amazed that he was there with me. It was like a dream. It was one of the best feelings ever. I have complete respect for the men and women that serve in our U.S. military. I can understand and relate to the hardships of the many other military families throughout the country. It is hard to see your loving family members leave, and it's even harder to not see them for months or even years. But when they return home, it's the most amazing feeling to see them again.